You know, for years, it felt like teen vaping was this unstoppable force, right? And then, almost overnight, it just cratered. The numbers completely fell off a cliff. So what happened? Let's get into it, because this is one of the most dramatic public health turnarounds we've seen in a long, long time.
Okay, just look at these numbers. Seriously, this is wild. Back in 2017, you've got about 8% of kids vaping. Fast forward just 2 years to 2019, and that number explodes to 20%. I mean, 1 in every 5 kids. But then, look what happens. It just reverses, dropping all the way down to under 6% by 2024. I have to tell you, a change in behavior this huge, this fast, it's just something you almost never see in public health.
So, yeah, that brings us to the big mystery we're unpacking here. What on earth could have happened to cause such a huge, sudden drop like that?
And this question, it wasn't just on our minds. It became this massive puzzle for public health experts. So a team of researchers over at UC San Diego, they decided they were going to dig in and really try to solve it.
And it all comes back to that one year, 2019. I mean, that is the absolute turning point. It's the moment this runaway train of a trend just screeched to a halt and started going backwards. So naturally, that's exactly where the researchers focused all their attention.
And what they found was pretty interesting. Their investigation started to circle around 2 huge, powerful forces that were both happening at the exact same time. It was like a perfect storm brewing in the media.
So here's what those 2 forces were. On one hand, you had the stuff that was planned, right? The paid advertising, all those anti-vaping ads you saw everywhere. But on the other hand, something totally unplanned was happening. This massive wave of news coverage about a really scary, mysterious lung illness.
And let's be clear, those paid campaigns were a huge deal. We're talking about heavy hitters like the FDA and the Truth Initiative, not to mention state programs. They were pumping more than $100 million a year into these ads. This was a very deliberate, very well-funded effort to get the word out.
But right in the middle of all that planned messaging, something came completely out of left field. A terrifying medical mystery started making headlines, and all of a sudden, vaping was front-page news for a really, really bad reason.
Yeah, this crisis got a name, the E-Valley outbreak, and it fundamentally changed how everyone talked about vaping. The whole conversation about whether it was safe, especially for kids, was just turned on its head.
And just so we're on the same page, E-Valley, that's the official name they gave it. It stands for e-cigarette or vaping product use associated lung injury. It's what doctors started calling this new scary thing they were seeing in emergency rooms everywhere.
And the numbers, they were just shocking. We're talking more than 2,800 people hospitalized. A lot of them were teenagers, and they had this severe, sometimes life-threatening lung damage that was directly tied to vaping. And tragically, it was also deadly. 68 people died from E-Valley. And that just made everything so much more real. The danger wasn't some abstract idea anymore. It was immediate, and it was happening to people right now.
The media coverage was just a tidal wave. Think about this. In less than a year, almost 20,000 news articles came out about this. It was everywhere. You literally could not escape it. It was on TV, on your phone. You couldn't get away from the story of E-Valley.
Okay, so you've got these 2 huge things happening at once, right? The ad campaigns and the scary news. But which one actually made the difference? Well, this is where the researchers' data gives us that aha moment. Let's see what they found.
All right, check this out. This might be the most jaw-dropping stat of them all. Before all this, from 2017 to 18, only about 29% of teen vapers had tried to quit. But during the media storm, from 2019 to 20, that number shot up to over 53%. It literally almost doubled. The number of teens trying to quit just exploded.
And to put that into perspective, one of the lead researchers, Dr. Jijiang Wang, basically said, whoa. He pointed out that quit rates on a population level almost never changed that dramatically, that fast. It was a huge signal that something incredibly powerful was going on.
And it wasn't just that they were trying to quit, it was their mindset too. The number of teens who said they were planning to quit jumped in a big way, from around 57% all the way up to almost 80%. The will to stop was just becoming undeniable.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. This is the critical finding. The researchers discovered that yes, both the ads and the E-Valley news made kids who were already vaping want to quit. But, and this is a big but, look at that other column. When it came to kids who had never vaped, only the E-Valley news seemed to scare them off from starting in the first place.
And that right there is the key. The paid ads, they worked on the kids who were already in it. But that raw, visceral fear from the e-volley stories, that had this unique power to stop potential new vapors dead in their tracks.
So what do we take away from all this? I mean, what does this whole thing teach us about public health and actually changing people's behavior on a massive scale?
Well, the senior researcher on the study, Dr. Xu Hongzhu, put it really well. He said it wasn't just one thing. It was the convergence, the coming together of these two media forces. It was the 1-2 punch of the ads and the news that really seemed to shake teenagers up and get them to take this seriously.
So it's almost like there's a recipe for this kind of historic change. Step 1, you lay the groundwork with consistent health messaging. You know, those paid campaigns that plant the seed of an idea. Then, step 2, a real-world crisis creates this massive teachable moment, and the news just blasts that message out everywhere, turning that slow burn into a wildfire.
And that leaves us with a pretty heavy question to think about, doesn't it? I mean, the E-Valley outbreak was a real tragedy. People got sick, people died, but the fear that came from it had this undeniable positive effect on public health. So it makes you wonder, can fear be a useful tool in public health? And if it is, how should we even think about using it ethically?